So this is going to be like the most interesting panel because it's all about where we're going to put our monies in. And exciting to be with all of you guys today. Maybe we start with like a bit of an intro on everyone. Like, can you guys talk about what you're doing right now? And then we can head into the money side of things. So starting with Anna.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm Anna Shakola. I'm head of BD at Cointelegraph Accelerator. So I talk to minimum 30 startups per week. I have more than 100 pitch decks in my Telegram, and I have a lot of download application. Sometimes my eyes is bleeding from trying new products. I'm a fan of new technologies. Looking forward to meet newcomers, new unicorns in Ordinals space.
Great. Anna, awesome to have you here. 30 startups, studying them, going after them is not easy. Not an easy job at all. Yeah. Welcome, Khai. Can you talk a bit about yourself?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Shi Khai here, partner at Longhash Ventures. We've been bootstrapping ecosystems since 2018. So we run an accelerator program there, and we also run 2 funds. We've invested in more than 100 projects, and we're very proud to also back OddsR, and very excited, to support the Bitcoin and Ordinals ecosystem.
Yeah, awesome. And next, we're going to Kevin. Kevin, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, thanks so much. My name is Kevin. I'm deal partner at the Bitcoin Frontier Fund. We are the most active early stage Bitcoin VC. We have invested in almost 50 companies, and we have just recently announced the launch of our Ordinals Accelerator program, which will be launching in the next few months. I know a few companies here are going to be applying, but some of our portfolio companies are also here, so a huge shout out to Xverse and the Xverse team. We were early investors as well as NeoSwap.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Gwen, what's happening with you these days?
Hi everyone, my name is Gwendolyn Regina, and I'm founder of OnQuestions, which is a think tank and media company focused on exploring the question, what is a good question? But I've been an angel investor and an investor in general from the Web2 space. Just spent 2 years at leading BNB chain investments, doing Binance Labs as well as BNB chain partnerships. So I just left 3 months ago. So quite fresh now, and yeah, I'm excited to talk about Ordinals.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm going to start with Shi Khai on this one. Where do you think these trends are headed, and where do you think the opportunities lie in the ordinal space? Is it with the wallets and the infrastructure side, or is it within the tokens themselves? What are you looking at? Tell us a bit about that.
I think we're very lucky because it's so early that all of these directions have good opportunities, right? I think if you look at what I consider the infrastructure space, we can still think about, do we need some form of scaling to make things cheaper, faster, easier to use? Do we need some form of user tooling, be it some form of account extraction, to making transactions easier, social logins, without the kind of gasless experience that we have come to expect from other ecosystems. And of course, from a product perspective, I think there's already great interest around Ordinals, and now how do we build products and ecosystems around it, right? So including both the Ordinals and the pieces there, and also things like BRC, ORC, SRC, and many other peripheral things that we've seen other ecosystems do, but now we can add a Bitcoin flavor to those.
Awesome. Yeah. Anna, you're studying all these projects. What are you looking at, and especially focused on the ordinal space?
So I'm agree that Ordinals is quite new technology. We don't have unicorn. We don't have success stories yet. Still, judging from the success of NFTs, we believe that mass adoption and probably success stories will come from gaming or real-world asset tokenization. That's our prediction. Let's see.
Wow, that always getting into the security token side of things, exciting. I think we might be a bit of a long way here. Broadening this topic a bit, going towards Taproot. Kevin, what are you looking at? Where is the excitement in terms of investing at your end?
For me, personally right now, I'm really interested in dev tooling, specifically APIs for software engineers. We recently invested into Ordinals Bot, who's now kind of transitioning from this inscription as a service platform to building APIs for software engineers, which I think is really interesting and really needed. So I'll just give one really good example. One of my close friends is a software engineer at DoorDash. Very high-level software engineer, not typically building on Web3. But the very first question he asked was, where's the best place for me to look at the docs? What APIs can I start using? And if I can point him to Ordinals Bot and start looking at some of those APIs, I mean, they've got great APIs that's really easy to use for very early coming in software engineers. So if we can grab more of those guys to start coming into the ecosystem and have the tooling available for them, then I think we're going to be able to see more companies and more successful companies being able to be built.
Yeah, I mean, sounds at that stage where the infrastructure needs a lot of work as well. Broadening the question even further, Gwen, like how are you looking at entrepreneurs as well as innovators in this space in general? Like, I'm going to open it more beyond Bitcoin as well.
So when we look at how technology evolves, any kind of technology from like decades and hundreds of years ago, you always first need infrastructure. So which is to Kevin's point, right? So I think the clearest opportunity space right now is infra. So we're looking at more layer twos. For example, Stacks is obviously amazing. Looking at more examples like that. Then you have the application layer, and you know, the Yuzin has also talked about that. But the challenge is that we always need both to be in balance. So just like Domo is kind of like the picture, you cannot have too much infra with too little applications / use cases, and vice versa, because the tech then doesn't support it. So the key, and from an investment perspective, what I'm interested in is entrepreneurs who are both sides, right? Who understand the tech, the infra, the tooling needs a lot of work and are willing to do that. You have some of the application level people doing that, but also simultaneously working, you know, with the different SDKs and all. But at the same time, I want them all to be very, to be open to the fact that it's a journey that will take a while, and it requires usability. So great user design is also missing. So I want more designers into the space, not just entrepreneurs, not just investors, not just the devs and builders.
By designers, you mean like artists and...
Oh, no, sorry, not that yet, like UX.
UX, UI. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. Next, I'm going to start with Anna. Like, so you're getting all these projects and you're finding out more about like everything which is happening in this space. And then there are specific things that you're looking at. What are some of the strategies you analyze with to shortlist the ones that you like and find interesting and find them investable as well? Because we've discussed the ideas. What beyond that are we looking at?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, I agree with Gwen that we can track and check a lot of technology, but without marketing component, without useful UI, UX design, there is no mass adoption of it. Ordinals, it's a step to mass adoption. And the statistic is like this. We have 60% Bitcoin savers. So Bitcoin is the most popular saving tool, not transaction tool. Ordinals, it's step closer to make Bitcoin transaction tool. So what we're looking at Ordinals related projects is definitely usability for the end user, and from technology side, we are waiting for solutions. We're looking for solutions that will be very easy implementable in different networks.
But more talking towards the strategies, right? You mentioned a bit on marketing. How would you define a team that is able to market better as well? In short, if you can tell me a bit on that.
So currently, the use cases of Ordinals is not that much. As Kevin, right? Yeah, it's Kevin. Sorry, she can't. Yeah, yeah. She can said that it's very early and there is no bright lot of users use cases in any verticals. So if we are talking about strategy as a VC, just diversify, pick relevant founders with Bitcoin-related experience, and track the mass adoption of the product.
Maybe we can add on, Shash, to your question regarding marketing specifically. Is that it?
Yeah, sure.
Marketing as a...
I kind of feel that there are three key pillars to any project being successful, and especially in the Web3 space, which is like quiet, cultural, like quite emotional for people as well. So while you can focus on the technology and the product side of things, I think marketing, communication, and a clear narrative, and the problem that you intend to solve, if it is complicated, if you're trying to solve every problem, pretty much people will never know what you're good for, and I think that is one of the problems I see quite regularly. And the third one would be like regulation and compliance. Like most companies can do one or two of these things right. Very few, mostly unicorns, are able to do all three right.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first, and then Gwen, you can go after. I think it's interesting from the Bitcoin Frontier Fund's perspective because we have an accelerator program, and a lot of the teams that apply to the accelerator program are still quite early. And what we make sure that we look for are three things. One is really strong founders. I'm sure many VCs will probably agree, like founders. The best ones are always going to be team, especially when you're that early and you're deploying capital. But the second thing is we're always looking for products that are at least on testnet. And if they're not on testnet, they have some sort of a demo that they can show using Figma. They're talking to users. They're getting some sort of a social confirmation that what they're building is something that people want. And the last thing is we want to make sure that we can hear from those people that they've actually talked to. And we see some socialness kind of talking on Twitter. So I think X, sorry. So I think X is probably the most interesting, complicated, but
Sounds
the most
weird though, man. Stick to Twitter.
It is weird, right? It's like the most important social marketing aspect of crypto, and I think on Ordinals, that's where it's kind of a strength because all these X spaces, God, I can't get used to that. X spaces, all the conversations, even me just. Okay, now is it tweeting, Xing? What is the verb?
Tweeting.
Whatever it is.
2023, let's just take and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so just even having like small conversations from there, I think the Ordinals community is really strong on like the marketing perspective. So for us, when we're looking to take a company, it's the team first, it's the product second, and then have they had some sort of social confirmation through X?
Can we double down on the marketing aspect, right? Because there's many elements to good investment, and Kevin has talked to quite a few. But one thing I agree with Shash, right? Marketing, community building is important in Web3. But let me pose all of us a question. Let's discuss it out. So I think that storytelling is a very niche skill in tech, right? Very few people can tell a good story. In marketing, community building, I think especially in Web3, to some extent, sometimes the most savvy storytellers can be deemed as too savvy, and we're like, wait, you're too smooth. You know what? I don't want to talk to you, right? So, but at the same time, we need that for mass adoption. So, question to all of you, like, where and how much does storytelling play in community building?
A lot. I guess from like the VC perspective, in order for you to raise money, you have to be really good at pitching. So one of the key core components of our accelerator program is like really nailing the 1 minute pitch. So if you're at an event like this, can you actually pitch what you're building like effectively in one sentence or in less than a minute? And then after you master that, then we bring in some other VCs to actually hear that 1 minute pitch and give you feedback. And then only after you master that 1 minute pitch do you move on to the 5 minute pitch. So we don't even start like build out your deck, build out your 5 minute pitch. We start out with like the simplest thing first. So it goes to the notion, can you tell a story in a short amount of time? Because you're not going to have a lot of time when you talk to VCs.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you guys feel about that?
I'm just going to change the question slightly for Shi Khai. Like you said that you're looking at the product side quite a bit, right? But is marketing a factor in the BRC-20 ordinal space for you right now? It is all just about the product. And if it is marketing, what are some of the characteristics you're looking for within the story?
Yeah, for sure. I love that, Kevin, you brought up the priorities. And I like to come back and double down on the team, on the founders, right? Because I think this is the foundation that leads to a good product and leads to clear marketing. So what does it mean, strong team? Everyone's like, oh, strong founder, strong team. I'm like, how do I know if I'm strong? How do you know if a team is strong? To me, the clearest indicator is that you are obsessed and you know a problem really deeply. most of the time we speak to founders and the projects are really early. So there's probably not product market fit, but we need to see problem founder fit.
Yeah,
Right.
so just don't build for the sake of building. Like,
That's right.
You need to have a problem that you truly want to solve.
Yeah. And so how do you tell if a founder truly knows a problem deeply? Of course, the easiest way is if it's a problem that they are facing themselves, right? So often you see some sort of like dog fooding. They're building something that they themselves would use as a developer or as a user, or somebody who is interested in ordinals and so on. And from there, you can start to validate, right? Maybe you go to users and you have your own feedback and you have other people who validate and invalidate your product direction. You see the execution there. And from there, it leads on to then how do I communicate? Because I know it very well. I know exactly what the pain points are. I know exactly what this target segment cares about. Then I can craft my message to be specific to that group. And I can communicate the insightful bits of like what I've discovered throughout my journey of building and validating this section of the ecosystem.
Can I add on as well? Because one thing I also use as a guide is that, am I asking myself the question, am I learning from this person in front of me? Am I being wowed? And I want to see the founder being able to take me through his or her hypotheses about the evolution of that industry. I want that person to be thoughtful, based on, trends, stats, assumptions, but also your predictions almost, right? Because if we talk about human behavior, a lot of it is just an art and science. So if you're dealing in whatever space, you should have some sense and intuition based on pattern recognition and your experience in the field of how humans, the very qualitative part of how trends and industry evolves, will impact your space, and then consequently how the problem space might evolve, and then the solution space. So if I'm impressed by that, yeah, that person's got my money.
Awesome. Yeah. Anna, would you like to add to that?
I agree with all takeaways from the team. Just small takeaway narrowed down to the marketing itself. So Ordinals is technology that incentivizes Bitcoin holders to implement their crypto in something like some other products. During NFT hype, we also, I'm from media, from Cointelegraph, so I know the statistic. So Bitcoin holders, they stay away from NFT hype. In compare with general crypto holder, Bitcoin enthusiast, minted NFT less than other crypto users. So Ordinals will incentivize Bitcoin holders to participate in crypto market and purchase some crypto products out of Bitcoin itself. And when we listen to the pitches of the team, we ask them why people will use your Ordinals technology. Like NFT, they made this JPEG hype, and it take us 1 year to explain to the market that NFT is not a JPEG. JPEG use NFT as a technology. So if we will pick some project out of, let's say, 10, we are looking for that project who will explain why Bitcoin holders will implement particular product that use Ordinals technology.
Yeah, awesome. I think I want to ask a slightly different question because I'm very curious about it, because you brought it up as well. Like EVM and NFTs and that ecosystem versus stuff being built on Taproot, Ordinals, etc. Like, what is your take on that, and why is this space still exciting?
Which space is still exciting? Still
exciting.
Which space?
I didn't mean to say still. Take it back. Why is... So everyone's building on EVM, right? Like, it's meant to be that. Like, if Bitcoin is digital gold, then, Ordinals BRC-20 is digital jewelry, pretty much, right? So, but is it gonna become as massive and used as EVM is, because the numbers are way smaller right now? So, what are your take on it? Like, why would you still be choosing between this ecosystem, and why would you prefer the Ordinals and the BRC-20?
I prefer the Ordinal system from the on-chain perspective, entirely on-chain. So while it's obviously really nascent, I think there's a lot of potential.
Yes. Shi Khai, would you like to add on that?
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, I don't think it's one or the other, right? I think each ecosystem has its own culture and niche. And if it's too indistinguishable and you're just trying to be the same, that's where the direct competition might kill one or the other, right? Kind of but whereas if it's similar to how when you see blockchain's L1's fork, And if a fork has a distinct community and ideology and culture, then they can survive as their own ecosystem. So in this case, I do think that the ordinal space has its own culture, right? We love the on-chain bits. We love the immutable bits. We love actually, I'm reminded actually Vitalik wrote about this as well. So legitimacy is the most scarce resource. And you might argue that Bitcoin is the most legitimate blockchain, and that ordinals might be the most legitimate way to do NFTs or to inscribe things onto chains. And so if we embrace and like double down on this brand or this direction that, hey, this is like the most immutable, simple, elegant way to put things on chain, what are the possibilities? What can we do here that people will value much more than if it's in an EVM ecosystem?
Got it.
Shash, why don't you answer your own question? Shash is a big NFT
Yeah, I was going to say, we
person.
had this whole conversation last night, didn't we?
Yes, Shash.
Well, I'm an explorer, right? Like my job is to find value, right? Like at the end of the day, like most of us, like the job that I do is like figure out where there is meaning and value headed. And sometimes you find it with things. I personally find it with art. And I find putting art on the blockchain makes it immutable because that is something that is meant to be immutable. I think many other things that we create, which we try to give utility, may or may not need to be immutable. I think blockchain enhances a lot of industries. I think it enhances finance, it enhances gaming to a certain degree, but I think art is something I'm super excited about, and putting it on Bitcoin is literally putting it in the most immutable asset out there. And I think that's what excites me the most about, doing all these inscriptions and creating these things. We haven't gotten to a point where a lot of artists in the world are using it and understand that, but there's a big wave that people do realize the accessibility and the usability and the transferability that Ethereum brings for art, because Web 2 didn't do too much for art. Web 3 truly revolutionizes it. Like the top two companies have been around since 1760s. They literally need to have sort of a Kodak movement at some point of time. And I think I'm super excited to see these things happen on Bitcoin. And ordinals are simple so far, and I think that simplicity is needed for art. We don't need to have multiple utilities for art like it's prima facie. And that's what excites me the most about getting that movement started.
That's the interesting thing too, is that for me and for many people, maybe have gone into this space because of the simplicity of things. But now seeing all these different things that are being built on top of it, and then how are they integrating these, PFPs? Like I talked to somebody last night about .bitmap, and then the ability to create, this whole metaverse layer effectively on like Bitcoin. But then also taking these PFPs where then they can run around inside and have a chat. I feel like that there's so much that can be done still, and we're so early, and that's what's really exciting. And I think that's what keeps me every single day. Like I truly feel as if I go to sleep, I'm missing out on something. I wake up the next day and there's something new being built. Somebody's launching something, which is amazing. And I think it's so interesting that it's all happening on Bitcoin where we didn't think it could happen on before, right?
That's why they have free coffee at all the events, right? But just to wrap it up, we have like 1.5 minutes left. I want you guys to tell me which is the most exciting thing that you're seeing in the ordinal space, whether it's a project or a infrastructure play or what. Like, what is the one thing that you find most interesting? Starting with Anna.
To be honest, I cannot share a particular name, unfortunately. Yeah, like I will,
Shash wanted alpha. Look at his face.
Yeah, always.
yeah, like I can give you my time slot to name particular projects.
Tell me later.
Okay, let's do it after the guys. But in general, we still have 1 minute. Cointelegraph Accelerator, open for ordinals, and I hope you guys will onboard one of you to our acceleration program.
Shi Khai,
I apologize in advance, but I'm going to shill.
go ahead.
Of course, Sado and odds are, I do think that Sado, if it can be adopted by all of the marketplaces and being an aggregated resource and almost like a public good and standard for all of the ordinal space, can be a huge driver for value. So encourage everybody to look into it.
Awesome. Kevin.
I guess I have to apologize as well. First off, I'm going to shill our existing portfolio companies, Xverse, Gamma, NeoSwap, These are amazing companies. Oh, and by the way, Liquidium, and then the DLC technology from Deep Lake. I can go on, but I'm just going to stop there. We have our Ordinals Accelerator, the world's first Ordinals Accelerator. I don't know who's launching first, but maybe we will. So the early bird applications are September 15th for anybody who wants to apply. And then the normal application deadline is October 31st. Wink, wink, please do apply. It takes 5 minutes. We will be investing $100,000 into companies that are building amazing products on Ordinals. And yeah, I'll pass it on to you.
I've got nothing to show. So thank you, Yuzin, for having me. Otza, Sedo, I love them both. We've been friends for close to 20 years, and now I've seen his journey, he's seen my journey. So thank you and congratulations, and yeah.
Yeah, can we have a huge round of applause for all our speakers and the panelists out here? Thank you, everybody. It was great being here.
Thank you.